Well, now, welcome to the second edition of the Thornycroft Diatribe podcast. I'm Chris Thornycroft. For questions or comments on this podcast, I can be reached at thornycroftdiatribe@gmail.com. That's Thornycroft with a Y. Thorny, not horny. My Patreon account can be found at patreon.com/thornycroftdiatribe, all one word. So if you'd like to support the podcast or buy me a beer that I can review in the future, you can go there. I've got no love for AdSense. They should call it Ad No Sense at All. Anyway, moving on. Today we're going to be discussing the plight of 18-year-old Saudi girl Rahaf Mohammed. If you've been living under a rock or spending the last week on Pornhub, I don't judge. She's the girl who fled her family's abuse in Saudi Arabia, and Canada thankfully stepped up to the plate and gave her asylum. Now, I know what I'm about to say will probably piss off some religious groups, but I don't care. That's just how I roll sometimes. I've sensed a lot of people on the religious right not only being opposed to her asylum, but for prejudicial reasons against Muslims, insist she be quote-unquote returned to her abusive family. Having worked in mental health for over a decade, if a teenage girl is barricading herself in a room at an airport, something is clearly wrong. And unlike some biased adults, I'm inclined to believe the kids recounting rather than the adults. Not that kids don't lie, but adults get away with it far more often because they're authority figures and make all the basis... Sorry about that. And unlike some biased adults, I'm more inclined to believe the kids recounting rather than the adults. Not that kids don't lie, but adults get away with it far more often because they're authority figures and make all the baseless rules everyone else has to follow, bless them. And where do you think kids learn to be dishonest anyway? Oh, here we go. I grew up in a wildly Christian conservative family, so I've heard all the possible bullshit excuses before. Don't try me. At any rate, I've had my differences with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, but the guy's doing his Jesus thing again, showing compassion for people in desperate situations. Canadians don't kill people, we save them. And we don't go looking for thank you notes either. We're just happy Rahaf and Syrian refugees we brought to this country and their kids are safe and don't have to worry about finding the word Raytheon in the rubble that used to be their home. U.S. governments and the damn CIA build fucking walls and blow up buildings and human beings to steal natural resources for international corporations and financial institutions. That's why they're so disliked, to put it mildly, around the world. When your dumbass, ignorant, greedy policies create refugees, you can't with intellectual honesty stand at your border, guns drawn, to turn back innocent people you just fucked over. Then again, America has a way of making up its own rules as it goes along. As you can tell, I don't take seriously certain groups on this planet. Evangelicals voted overwhelmingly for a lecherous, corrupt businessman who is the antithesis of what they're supposed to stand for. And these are the same people who want someone like Rahaf who want to send her back to her family. God help us all. Literally. I don't know, man. It seems the world is going to hell in a handbasket and few people have the courage, ethics, or will to stop it. The people in power don't give a rat's ass. Certainly racism exists in the halls of Washington, but the most blinding color of all seems to be green. These ass clowns are all bought, and anyone who stands up against their corrupt system that stands against helping boys and girls like Rahaf Mohammed are ridiculed and discredited both by the establishment politicians and the corporate media, at best. Just ask guys like Jesus, Gandhi, the Kennedy boys, Dr. King, Malcolm X, or Abe Lincoln how it works when you stand up against evil. Prime Minister Trudeau, I believe, is part of that corrupt system, but if he's not careful and continues to show compassion for others, the school teacher that he is, he'll end up making powerful enemies. It costs money to bring in, feed, and house refugees. Money that could be used for tax cuts and giveaways to financial institutions and global corporations. Those hopeless romantics. Like my hero, the great philosopher Carlin, I don't see things improving anytime soon. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to try. Well, that's it for me. If you made it this far, thank you. If all you do is listen and comment, I'm a happy guy. Again, I can be reached for questions, comments, and story ideas at thornycroftdiatribe@gmail.com. That's Thornycroft with a Y. My Patreon account is patreon.com/thornycroftdiatribe, all one word. So if you're so inclined, you may support the show that way. At any rate, please like and share this podcast so I can get the message out to more people that there's more to life than money and power. Living beings, human or animal, matter. Peace out, tip your waitresses, I gots to go.